looking at here, Dave?
So at the timeline that we're in here, things are very dilapidated. Some people might be making an effort to keep things up, but certainly not at this boarding school where part of our story takes place. And things are just going to crap, and nature's taking over. There's a lot of kids that live here, and there's not a window pane intact, I think. So kids like breaking windows, and we're making sure to deliver on that.
Jess, is this where all these kids you're talking about come in?
Yeah.
Where are we? What, it's a boarding school?
It's a boarding school. We haven't said where it is, but yeah, we start episode 1 in this boarding school, and we get to meet a lot of kids that are about Clementine's age. We do have art of those kids at some point in this. I don't know where they are. Somewhere.
Skip around, bring the kids.
Just skip forward. No.
But like, don't do it like for a second. Skip over. Are we still? Where are we here now? Oh, we're still in the boarding school?
We're still in the boarding school. This is the headmaster's office.
Okay.
Bogan?
Yep, more of the same. Not a window intact. These kids have gone through everything. They've used books for kindling, breaking furniture to keep the fire warm so they can cook their food.
Yeah.
It's just a mess.
My favorite is actually, and I didn't notice it until I was looking at the deck before we came here, is the rock t-shirt that's just hanging on the wall.
Yeah, like a poster.
Nice.
So is this what you're talking about, Dave, in terms of the color and the saturation and like trying to make it more grounded / gritty?
Well, originally when we started season 1, we were very enamored with kind of like the color processed look and desaturate tone of things. I think it really just matches the mood of the storytelling and the license itself. So yeah, I think season 3 in places got a little too colorful for my liking.
Okay.
We took a chance. It was different. There was parts where there was like generators and electricity, and we're just really going back now. Like that stuff's running out. No one has that anymore. And tonally, it's still as bleak as ever.
Dan, speaking of the tone and what a Walking Dead world looks like, what is Skybound's involvement with Telltale nowadays, right? It's the 4th season now, and not including 300 Days, and like Michonne, like, you guys have worked for a long time. Is there check-ins? Does Robert Kirkman walk around? And like,
Yeah, Robert just kind of like walks around and looks over our shoulders on a regular basis. No, we actually, I think one thing that, that goes unsaid a lot of times is our editorial team. The people who actually make the Walking Dead comic. It's not just a comic, but it's a comic. That's led by a guy named Sean Makowitz, who is the editor-in-chief. And so he really is kind of Robert's eyes and ears of the world, because he lives it and breathes it every day, just like Robert does, as they make the comic book every month. And so he spends a lot of time. We work hand in hand when it comes to a lot on the story side, just looking at the scripts and making sure that the editorial staff is really not just like, okay, that's good. It's literally trying to provide notes like they would to any of our comic book writers. And that's our process. It's a little different, I would say, than other license holders.
Jess, is there then more pressure than
I
just...
think your mic's off.
Do I need it? I'm very loud.
You are, he is.
Jess, is there then more pressure of, that Skybound's looking at this on top of your peers, on top of thousands and millions of players?
No pressure at all. None whatsoever.
Makowitz is a very imposing figure.
He's actually really nice.
Yeah, it's a massive pressure. I remember I was asked to come on to Walking Dead, and I was like, are you sure? I'm like, this is like our flagship project, right? And they're like, yeah, you can do it. I'm like, so. But that's also my normal state, so.
I can't do it.
It's me every day.
Let's all look. What's the next? Oh, there it is. I was going to say, what's the next slide? There's already a new one up there. Train station, eh?
That's the train station.
Yes.
It's more evidence of extreme dilapidation and nature overgrowing things.
Yeah.
Evidence of people that have lived there who've been building up walls and with whatever they can find to secure themselves.
Now I look there, and I see Clem in the center of the picture, right?
Yeah.
And I think about this. When you work with Clem and you're planning what she's going to look like in each one of these games, how hard is it to honor who we know as players, but then also want to do stuff, right? Like, is there like obviously keep your hair short. We're never gonna forget. That's okay. That's gonna happen. Checkbox. But like she got the new jacket and the new haircut, and at the end of the last one, like was there ever a thought of not having the hat? Like the hat is such an iconic thing that I always think of her in it. But you look at there.
Yeah,
Like,
we fight about it all the time.
I will
I
fight
think-
you
I
as
think
well.
there's,
Just saying.
there's two camps. I mean, the hat is a relic and an important kind of, Clem's attachment to Lee.
sure.
And a lot of people don't want to see that go away. And then there's other people who want to lose the hat as metaphor for Clem moving on and becoming her own person. So you'll have to buy the game to find out
got booed?
if the hat's in the game.
All right, so hold on, quiet. Who wants her to keep the hat? Who wants her to lose the hat? Oh man,
You're wrong.
like 3 heartless sons of bitches out there.
One guy.
Get rid of it.
I'll build the hat.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting stat at the end of an episode. 98% said get rid of the hat. What's our next slide here? What do we have next? Ooh, who's Marlon and Rosie?
So Marlon's one of the kids at the boarding school. He's my favorite. I really like him. And Rosie is his dog. And I was allowed to say this as a spoiler. We don't kill the dog. So, at least not in episode 1. I mean,
Is that an
This
homage
time
to
a
Sam?
zombie kills the dog.
yeah. Actually, yeah, that is actually something we have to deal with the dog. We keep having to remind ourselves that Clementine is afraid of dogs. And so it's actually really fun to write those scenes and kind of negotiate and see how she deals with that. But yeah, Marlon, he's got this awesome mullet hawk thing and this kick-ass jacket, and he's really hardened. He's a bit of an abrasive character, but he's got like a soft nougaty center. And maybe you can
Nougaty.
find that nougaty.
See, I refuse to get excited. I refuse to get excited for this character. Because I remember
Why?
season 2, you showed the dog there, all your key art, dog, here's this girl with a rifle. I'm like, oh, they're going to be main characers. Killed in the first episode. Like in the first 10 minutes of the episode. So I don't know how long Marlon and Rosie are going to be around.
Go ahead and try to kill that dog. Look,
Yeah. Hey, Clem's overcome
I can't
bigger and tougher
confirm.
foes.
Episode 1, we don't kill a dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Pinky promise? Yeah. Yeah.
You
It's
can take that
official.
one. Now, of course, you're not writing episode 2, so who knows?
No, I'm not.
From there on out, all bets are off for Rosie. Is it hard to introduce new characters? I feel like we all have such an attachment to season 1 folks, right? And that's why it was so awesome to see Krista in the beginning of season 2, to run back into Kenny, to have these moments.
Yeah.
Is there then how do you introduce somebody that you want us to like, but Clem's already got so much history and she's closed off too, which is always difficult?
Yeah, it is really difficult, especially my last project that I was lead on was in episode 5. So those characters were already written, their tone was kind of figured out, and getting thrown onto an episode 1 and being like, okay, you can come up with these voices now. And I'm like, huh. And what I started with was I made a Google Doc of how each of our kids curse. Because kids curse in very interesting ways. So like Marlon's the one who's going to throw F-bombs at every chance he gets. Some other kids will refuse to say that. Some will refuse to say, anything about God or things like that. So that's kind of where I started. And then just trying to get into the mindset of kids. I reread a lot of like YA fiction, watched a lot more like shows and movies that had, younger characters.
Thrown out of a lot of playgrounds?
Yeah.
They're taking
Had a
notes.
playground writing. That's not
Oh
creepy
God,
at all.
that sounds terrifying.
And that was the clean version of the joke I was grabbing. I think the final thing we have is some idle animations.
No,
Oh no,
more
so Lewis.
characters.
No, well, tell me more about these characters then.
This is Lewis. He's one of the other kids at the boarding school. Bogan, you had a really good.
Well,
good
you
bit about
noticed
him.
that Marlon was wearing clothes that would make sense to survive in, things that will, kind of like a tough skin that he can roam through the woods and do what he needs to do, whereas Lewis is the character who's trying to preserve the old world in
Fashion over function.
art and culture, everybody. So that explains
Oh.
his look.
Yeah.
Violet is, I would say she how would you describe her character?
Uh,
She's definitely a survivalist.
yeah, she's definitely a lot more pragmatic, a little bit more blunt. Like,
Defensive and.
yeah.
If you don't
Liz-
kill her right away, a lot of people are going to cosplay as her.
She's
I
cool,
hope so.
yeah.
God, please cosplay these characters. They're great.
Again, don't start your cosplay till you see how long they last.
If someone can make me Marlon's jacket and like send it to Telltale, that would be great. But yeah, Lewis is a little bit more flirty and Violet's a little bit more hardened. And then we have Ten, who is just, he's a sweetheart. He's like sunshine.
That always ends well.
Yeah.
The Walking Dead universe. The sweet doe-eyed ones, they always make it.
Yeah.
Nothing ever happens to them.
Guaranteed.
It's also fun to design their costumes because really, in this world, you want to be wearing things that are going to help you. Wearing bright red rubber boots is probably not a good thing to be wearing.
Well, you have to come up with this entire fiction, right, of how they got all this stuff, and I'm assuming
Yeah.
there's a lot of hand-me-downs.
I just think this kid, he's roughly 10 or 11 years old or something like that. And so
Does he change his name every year?
Yeah, he should. He's been around before this whole situation happened, and he is still at the age in my mind where he might be holding on to something that he likes and form over function this time.
Ew.
And this may look grisly, but in this day and age in The Walking Dead, you wouldn't even blink an eye if you saw someone with this, so
Are we going to find out what happened in the episode?
have to buy it.
And then... So now this is the first look at what an idle animation looks like, or what you want. The pre-alpha, anything changed, yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. But this is what you expect it to look right, in terms of how the environment's moving, how they're moving.
Yeah, so higher detail in the modeling, but still retaining a graphic look through the textures and the design overall. And the thing that I wanted to talk about here, most importantly, is each project we try to hang our hat on some kind of artistic device that we're using. And this one, we're really pushing hard for the comic book look. And our term that we've coined is basically graphic black. So you look in the background, you can see that all the darkest parts of the scene have been clamped into like nice India ink blacks, and it feels more like a comic book than I think we've achieved in the past.
Very nice. All right. Not too shabby, right?
By the way, this is the first time I'm getting to see any of this too, and even though I am Clementine, hashtag I'm Clementine, this is like so exciting for me because I actually do play this game, so I'm also geeking out at the same time. So I just wanted to tell everybody that.
Well, Melissa,
Yes.
we have 4 minutes of footage we're going to show here in just 1 second. All right. But first, we gotta say goodbye to the Twitch people again. You should have come to PAX. You had your chance to come be in the room. You don't get it. Before we cut off, though, I want to go down the line real quick, though, and be like, what does The Walking Dead, the Telltale game, like, what do these 4 seasons mean to each of you? And I'll start at the end with Dan, put you right on the spot.
Sure. I think I said it in the beginning, which is everything, because it really set the tone for Skybound as a company, especially when we think about how we can expand worlds beyond what Robert has created. And this season means so much to us because we love arcs and we love things that sort of have, sort of a...
Closure?
Not just closure, but sort of an arc structure to it. Obviously, with our comic books, there's always sort of the thing that happens next as you sort of go through each journey that these characters experience in that world. And so bringing Clementine sort of full circle like you see is really exciting for us because it kind of marries to everything that we try to do.
Dave, what is it like right now to be at the final season? What does this final season mean to you?
A journey. Right when we started making the first season, I had my first kid, and on my third now, and traveling through the seasons and watching Clementine grow, there's been a lot of kind of real-life injection of child development, really. And I'm kind of attached to it, It's like a big part of my life, so interesting.
Do you worry that The Walking Dead seasons are like Samson's hair, and once it ends, you won't be able to have kids anymore?
Pretty sure I've taken care of that.
Mark, what does this final season mean for you?
It's bittersweet. I'm going to be sad to see it come to a close. Each time we start a new season and I start designing it, I think I know what I'm doing, and I realize I don't know what I'm doing halfway through it, and I got to rethink it. And every time it's a challenge, and every time it brings something new, and I'm gonna miss that working with Clementine and The Walking Dead.
Jess,
Hi.
what's it like to finish this out?
It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's a little nerve-wracking, but it's exciting. And I mentioned this a lot at work, but Clem is really like the shining star of this series. And for me, what's important for this entire season is that it truly becomes a love letter to Clementine, because we're bringing her full circle and we're saying goodbye to her for the last time. And if it's not a love letter, then we failed. So
No pressure.
No pressure. But just making sure that Clementine really shines through and her voice is really clear is really important to us. And I just hope everyone likes it.
Melissa.
Oh, God.
The voice.
This is where I lose it. I'm not going to, because I rarely wear eye makeup, and I can't fuck it up. It's just, this journey, the people I've worked with on all sides, it's just, I can't even, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to look at you because you're going to make me cry. It's been an amazing experience. Sorry. I am. Thank you. There goes the makeup. I'm so honored, and I have so much love for all of you. For all of you.
You cried.
Sorry. I hope you people at home are crying too.
The people at
Or
home are just
wherever
pissed they're
you
not going
are.
to see the footage, that's all.
This is bittersweet, obviously a little bit painful, but I'm so excited, and I couldn't have dreamt to play the most amazing, awesome, kick-ass, phenomenal young woman in a game in this universe ever. So thank you to all of you, and I'm there with you in this last season. Know that I'm there with you. So.
I think
There you go.
I speak on behalf of all
Knock my
Telltale
mic
fans.
over.
Thank you. Thank you all for what you've done.
Sorry.
All right, so here we go. Twitch people, it's been a pleasure to serve you. Thank you for watching. No, the panel's not. Oh, are you
No,
playing
we're-
out the
we're-
Twitch
I
thing
don't-
though?
I'm
You
assuming
guys
that's
don't
the
leave.
camera
If you're in the room,
I
do
don't
not
know
move.
what it is.
Twitch people, it's been a pleasure hanging out.